Good morning. Good morning, goddesses. Today is going to be a very big day. I know there are a lot of people who follow astrology. There's a lot of different approaches taken. There's a lot of astrologers who talk about the effects of the stars and the planets on the world. Some astrologers talk about love matching and stuff like that. And the way that I speak to astrology is in a sense of talking to your inner goddess. So this is going to be really important when I'm talking about today, because today is actually very, very important to me. A lot of times, yesterday we talked about the thing and how we know the thing when we experience the thing. And I feel that today I experienced the thing. So I'm going to go into a little bit of story. I hope that you can stay a little open-minded because something happened to me yesterday that's very, very fascinating. And it has kind of altered my entire view on the way I'm going to be experiencing the world, the way I'm going to be experiencing myself. It was a very, very, very big internal shift that I've never, ever, ever felt before. And even in my fatalistic astrology chart, I'm actually advised not to share my spiritual journey. So this is going to be a very, very vulnerable video for me to make today. And maybe it might not feel vulnerable to you, but for me, for my own records, when I go back and watch these, I want to let myself know that this was a very vulnerable video to make today. So I've been doing this show for quite some time. Good morning. I see you hopping on here. I've been doing the show for quite some time now. Well, yesterday I came across a person named, and it was like on my Google feed or something like that, and it was like showing this new astrology book that came up, and somebody went and compiled hieroglyphs that have been found, and all these ancient pictures that have been found throughout history that have kind of like shown that astrology has always been around, and shown old arts. And I was like, ooh, that's really cool. And so I clicked on it. And then as I kept reading the article, I came across other things you might like to like look at and stuff like that, or research or experience on your own. And the documentary Mucho, Mucho Amor on Netflix was something that was recommended. And apparently Walter Mercado is the greatest astrologer that ever lived. He was a Latin American. And so I guess it was not as big here in America, although he traveled and did tours everywhere and stuff like that. And I'm watching this man, and I'm watching this documentary, and he is almost exactly like I am. Like, if you've been following me for a while, I like playing in alter egos. That's why I have the goddess boudoir. Every single month I focus on a different goddess, and I have all these like wigs and all these like costume type boudoir things and stuff like that. And what really struck me is the way that he would end his astrological forecasts every single day is he would say, sending love to you today, tomorrow, something like that. And the reason why this was so fascinating to me is because the way that I end this show every single day is sending so much love to the woman you're meant to be today, tomorrow, or sending so much love to the woman you're meant to be, the woman you're going to be today, and the woman you're going to be tomorrow. So it was so weird. And the thing is when I started saying that on my show, and I'm so sorry if I'm boring you, but the reason I started saying that on the show, I have a context I usually write. So let me show you this. So, I have a little script, like to make sure I say this in my intro, make sure I say that in my outro, but I never said that before. And I was just talking on my show one day, and I said that, sending so much love to the woman you're meant to be, the woman you're going to be today, and the woman you're going to be tomorrow. And I was like, ooh, that's good. So I kept saying it. And what was fascinating is that is almost exactly the same thing that Walter Mercado said. So it led me down this rabbit hole. Like, I overanalyze everything, but it led me down this rabbit hole to believe that, obviously in different religions talk about reincarnation, things like that. And I can only assume if you're watching this and you're, watching this for the astro forecast, that you're also interested in this spiritual like oneness and topics like this. So I'm just gonna jump into it. So it led me down this rabbit hole to believe that maybe reincarnation isn't as it's kind of portrayed in the religions and the books and everything like that. That what if, because oh, and this is going to be really weird, but What if once someone dies, their essence is kind of distributed and absorbed by the environment or the body, the vessel of one that is inhabitable for that energy to be in? So if we think about viruses, COVID and stuff like that, some people don't show symptoms. Some people, don't come down with like outside things like sore throat or whatever. Some people don't get that. And so it would lead you to believe that maybe their body was not habitable enough for the virus to experience itself the way that it experiences in others. So would it not be too far-fetched to think that our idea of reincarnation as like being born from a past life or something, maybe we're constantly living the reincarnated energies from people. Maybe it's a constant thing and it's constantly filtering through you. And maybe the scientific Isaac Newton with the energy can neither be created or destroyed, but maybe it can be changed through the process of human bodies, through the experience of life. Super crazy. I know it's absolutely insane, but it's just food for thought. And so it kind of, this universal like thing, if you're someone who's also experienced like downloads, I don't like using trendy words, but it's the only way I can really experience it or explain it, is like when you've received downloads, the energy changes. And then once you kind of come out of the download, you still retain the information, but it doesn't feel the same. So when I felt this like download of information and this realization, this epiphany, whatever, it kind of felt like my invitation to like really pursue this. And it felt like this is exactly where I was supposed to be. It almost felt like I've been like recruited into like what I've been training for my entire life. Super, super strange. But let's go ahead and jump into the show. And I'm going to tell you why all of this, why this story I'm telling you is so absolutely important. Into our astro forecast and our tarot pool today. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go over my little daily script. So welcome to the Sexy Sunrise Show. I'm Bianca Delia. I've been a professional boudoir photographer for almost 6 years, and I take this time every single morning simply to stop patterns that don't support self-love so we can wake up our big goddess energy. So let's go ahead and hop into the astro forecast for today. Boop, boop. All right. So, we are in Capricorn season. We know that. The moon is in Scorpio, Mercury is in Aquarius, Venus is in Capricorn, and Mars is in Taurus. So Venus and Mars just changed signs, and so did Mercury. Wow. So we've got Mercury, Venus, and Mars that have just changed signs. And one of the big things we want to look at today is that Mercury is now in Aquarius, which is really going to boost this intellectual capacity for conversation. And you'll be getting these like new ideas, whether these ideas come from your inner dialogue or if these ideas come from like outer conversations or just outside sources in general. So there's going to be lots of new ideas flowing with Mercury in Aquarius. And Venus is in Capricorn. This is going to be super, super important because Venus in Capricorn is going to give us this steadiness and this seeking for a stable way of the woman we want to be. So this stable source of self-love and just a more concrete idea of who you are as a woman. And then let's take a look at Mars and Taurus. We know that Mars is in Taurus. Mars is kind of like our assertive energy, and being in Taurus, it's really going to push you into a place where you're really considering every move you make. You're going to be putting lots of thought process into this. The problem here is that Mars is going to be squared up to Uranus, and we know Uranus has been No. Mars is approaching a conjunction with Uranus. Mars was square. Mars is approaching a conjunction with Uranus. And what we'll see here is Mars has got that assertive energy. Taurus wants to keep thinking about things and consider a lot before they actually take action. And Uranus is like Aquarius in like intellectual ideas, innovation, things like that. Uranus is also in Taurus, but it's retrograde. So what we will see here, since Mars is in Taurus and Uranus is in Taurus, there is this over consideration for things, thinking about things a lot before you take action, and then not taking action. So lots of pent up energy, lots of like stubborn Taurus energy where the energy does not want to move. And this can be very, very frustrating for some people who don't overanalyze things and stuff like that. But with Venus in Capricorn, this is super important because that Venus in Capricorn is going to actually trine up to Mars as Mars approaches that conjunction with Uranus. Why this is important, we said that Venus in Capricorn creates this steadiness of self-love or identity. So it's gonna really help steady that pent-up energy. So once that energy starts releasing, that Venus in Capricorn energy is really going to like, you know, when you're like opening like one of the biscuit things, and then you don't want it to like pop. Like it always scares me whenever the crescent biscuits and then, you know, it opens up really quickly. Venus in Capricorn would kind of be like slowly pushing the spoon through so that that energy can kind of release a little bit at a time and not just completely explode. So that's super important to consider there too. So let's also take a look because Mercury is in Aquarius, right? Mercury is in Aquarius. Yes. Whew, okay. I put down the wrong degree there for a second. Had me sweating. So Mercury's in Aquarius, and that's squaring up to that Mars in Taurus. So what that means is the card we pulled yesterday definitely pointed us in the direction of like not feeling like you have to make a decision on anything yesterday because there's going to be so much consideration for every thought that we have. So what this might do too with this Mercury in Aquarius being squared up to the Mars in Taurus is we might see that it's really easy for us to jump to conclusions. Now this is going to play a really big role. Today in general is going to be one of the most important days since I speak in my astrology readings, I speak to your inner goddess and into a mode of like self-love. Today is going to be so important. It's going to be just like when all the astrologers were talking about the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction and stuff like that. Today is so incredibly important. With that Mercury and Mars squaring up to Mercury in Aquarius, squaring up to Mars in Taurus, it's going to be super easy to jump to conclusions. And at around 8 p.m. Central Time, the moon is going to be going void. The moon is currently in Scorpio. This is a very truth-seeking, emotional truth-seeking energy. And it's really going to be pushing you to find like your uniqueness and stuff like that. So there is so much supportive energy today to find and explore your true identity and your true thought processes, while also taking in a lot of information from the outside. So when I kind of told the story earlier about how I think that we're kind of experiencing reincarnation kind of simultaneously as we live, and it's constantly coming and going, this is the same thing as having a conversation with someone and some of their ideas stick with you and then some of them don't. So that's really what we want to see here. We want to be really open to the things that people have to say. We really want to be open to receiving any more ideas and stuff like that. But we want to really make sure that we're taking the parts that don't make sense for us to hang on to. We want to make sure that we're letting those go. Because once that moon goes into a void, there can be lots of like those wheels turning and maybe like a paranoia. Now, this is super important today. I speak a lot about like our inner goddess and things like that, but it is very important to also consider the things that are going on. There are lots of conspiracies. There are lots of truths being uncovered, and you know there's so many things going on. So it's super important to consider if this is something that you're interested in, like looking up and researching conspiracy theories, being open to new information, things like that. It's very important that you are aware in yourself to know the parts that you need to leave behind. Super important, because if we do not ground ourselves and figure out exactly the parts that are healthy for us to hang on to, once that moon shifts into that void at 8 o'clock, you're going to be stuck hanging on to that, and it can create kind of an environment of paranoia. So super supportive energy to really get to know yourself today. Super supportive energy to really see the things that to really analyze yourself and see what kind of woman you are. But there's also, as always, there's always going to be that potential for other things. And today that potential is going to be for like paranoias and anxieties and stuff like that. So very, very important to like hang on to that today. Let's go ahead and jump into our card because, like I said, things always kind of show up. Take that off. Let's take a look. This is so important. All right. And as always, I'm going to hold this card up and I am going to analyze it in the upright position with you before we kind of move on. So today we pulled the Ruler of Wands and it is in reverse. Let's take a look at this part. So usually whenever I see triangles, that represents integration to me. And then Wands is like action and initiative, things like that. It's the fire element. Why is this not focusing? Come on. You can do it. Let me take this off really fast. There we go. Okay, perfect. Ruler of Wands. So triangles are always integration for me. And if you look at this, this is a dotted triangle and this is a solid triangle. So for me, this is definitely representing like alignment of intuition. I speak to the inner goddess. So this is like intuition to your body, alignment of your spiritual, your intuition to your body for me anyways. And then this is like actions. This could be speaking, the wands. It could be actions. It could be speaking. And then we've got this crown right here in the middle. Now, super, super interesting. Yesterday, I talked about the reptilian energy. And today we've got the snake eating its tail here, which has everything to do with rebirth, death, and things of that nature. So I'm going to go into what I thought of as soon as I saw this card. I think it's super important for me to speak directly from my heart today and not from the text that I've taken in. So if we take a look here in upside down, would it not be too far-fetched to think that this could definitely mean an integration of your intuition? It could be a rebirth of who you are as a woman through this integration. We see the triangle here. In the regular tarot cards, what this can mean is that like your ideas and things like that are ready to be put into action. And this base of the triangle usually represents like bringing in people to help make this thing happen. So in reverse, would it not be too crazy to think that this could mean taking in more ideas, being open to lots of different things so that you can achieve the woman that you need to be? You can integrate these ideas, and what you do is you're open to all the new ideas, and then through the filter of coming to that integration, you're keeping the parts that make sense for you to hang on to, and then you're throwing away the other parts. Now, it's super important that I talked yesterday about how I feel like I'm watching human behavior of the dynamics of everyone on a global level, and I see a lot of people kind of like taking on mannerisms of people around them, and like I'm seeing it and it's not the real person. Like they're integrating these things that are not them, and it's simply because they're just seeing it a lot. So this card for me is so fascinating that I drew it today because it has everything to do with like the rebirth, transformation into an integration of your true self, and not like listening to outside sources, but not letting them push you into being a certain way. Like you are your own person. I don't know. I'm really communicating this in a bad way, but I feel like the people who watch my videos already kind of understand my energy and understand my intentions with things. But I really think that today is going to be a change. Today's going to be a crazy like changing point of you becoming the woman that you're meant to be. Today is going to be one of those days that it's like, today's the day. And I hope that you can feel that too. I hope that like this is making sense to you. I feel like today is going to be major, major, major. And in remembering that paranoia might kind of sink in later on tonight, and to be absolutely aware of that. So with that being said, I know that like my communication is all over the place. I hope that it was received the way that I intend for it to be received. But I want to jump into my intention for the type of woman I want to be today. I set an intention every single day. I think it's super important. And the way that I set my intention for the woman I want to be is also the message I believe that needs to be delivered that day. And that message is to be a woman who listens before she speaks, a woman who mulls over everything before she speaks, and that I'm not speaking from someone else's ideas, that when I speak, they are my ideas and not the ideas of someone else. So that's the type of woman I want to be. I really want to reiterate that I think today is super, super, super important in finding your own uniqueness and finding your own thoughts and thinking for yourself, and not being persuaded by things that are... I just hope that you can be a woman who can look beneath the surface. Let me just bring that back up. A woman who looks beneath the surface. Look at that triangle at the top, that big beneath the surface, to find yourself. Holy smokes. Okay. Yes, that's the message for today. I'm going to go ahead and jump on here. I feel like I have a lot of energy work to do today. If you've joined me this entire time, thank you so much. I love you. I'm sending love to the woman you're meant to be, the woman you're going to be today, and the woman you're going to be tomorrow. She is so incredibly important, and I hope you find her, and I hope you are her, and you will become her. Bye.